Hi, and congratulations on being part of this project. It sounds like a really interesting and possibly very rewarding endeavor you're going to take on. My name is Bob Linder, and I'm a photojournalist. I worked in the newspaper business for a long time, and I always thought that I did the same thing as my writer counterparts did. I just used a different tool. Where they would use paper and pencil, I would use a camera and lenses. And the idea is to tell a story. Cliff Edom was a gentleman who started the photojournalism sequence at the University of Missouri. And Cliff always said, show truth with a camera. And that's what you need to do, is show truth with your camera. And essentially I want to talk about two categories that you will probably use: documentary and illustration, and what the difference is between documentary and illustration. You know, I may think football games are an important aspect of what I want to show. And I may go to the game, and there's a lot going on. You know, there's the band, there's a team, there's a coach, there's the cheerleaders, there's the people in the crowd. And, you know, the play starts, and the ball is hiked, and the quarterback hands it off, and the player runs down and he crosses into the end zone and he scores. Hooray! I take the picture, and that's the moment I wanted. But wait a minute, I was at the other end of the field. I was kind of looking at something else, or I got distracted. So do I say, Mr. Football Player, could you please take the ball and run across the line again, and you guys maybe kind of chase after him and take the picture? Because documentary is about a moment in time, and it's the validity of that moment in time. It's the difference between actually being there when the touchdown was scored and or not. So, you know, I tell a lot of new journalists that sports is a really great way to go to an event that has a beginning and an end and a winner and a loser and maybe a hero. That what they learn through shooting that event, they will use in every assignment they'll ever have. So when you think of documenting something, think about being very truthful and honest. So if you're doing a story about someone who's painting this room, and they've already painted the room, you can't say, would you please, you know, use your roller and act like you're painting the room. If they were supposed to put up the balloons, and they've already put up the balloons, don't say, would you hang some balloons for me? Documentary is about being there at the right time, and it's a lot about anticipation, about anticipating what's going to happen. So if you go to an event, or go to a situation that you want to document, it's often good not to start taking pictures right away, but just to go and put your antennas up and get a feel for what's happening. And like the football analogy, you know, if it's the fourth down and the end of the game and the score is tied and the team is at the 20-yard line, anticipate that there might be a touchdown. That is the point of why you want to be there, and anticipate being at that end. When you go to an event, to photograph to the event, whether it's a meeting like right now or anything, get a feel for what's happening. Put your antennas up, anticipate, and be there and be ready for it. The other side of this is illustration. And illustrations are powerful as well, because the point of all of this is to get an idea across. But illustration has more leeway. But if we go back to the football game again, if the game is over and you determine that that fellow who scored that touchdown, that there was a backstory to him, that there was a significance about that touchdown, about what he was doing for the team or anything, and it's after the game, the illustration would be putting him in the environment with the ball, and it's a portrait. And what we call that is an environmental portrait, where you take your subject and you have them in this environment. If I am the subject, this is my environment. Later in the parking lot or at my house is not the environment. So if you have once again, the fellow who is painting the room has already painted the room, the environmental portrait would be him, the things that tell the story that he used, his tools, in the environment in which he did the work. Now, one thing that we kind of can go for in an illustration that we wouldn't do in documentary is that we might do some alteration of the photograph. We might enhance it. Now, you have to be very deliberate. Where in a documentary, we don't do so-called pixel edits. You know, if there was a spot on my lens that put a dot on this wall, then I might take that out because I added that to the scene. My camera added that to the scene. That wasn't there. But if there's a Pepsi can on the table, there's a Pepsi can on the table and it stays there. Illustration is more of an illustration where you're putting forth an idea, and altering the scene to make it darker or lighter or to change it is a part of your idea of how to tell your story and get your point across. So we do allow for some of that in an illustration, but it has to be deliberate. So do you kind of get the difference between documenting and illustrating and being deliberate in what you do? Sometimes people are camera shy, and how you approach them can make a difference between getting the picture you want and not. And therefore, again, about when you go into a situation, just don't start taking pictures. Let them be comfortable with you, and you be comfortable with them, and it also gives you time to figure out just what's going on here and what is the point that I'm trying to get across. I don't know what your individual stories will be, but you can apply some of this to all of them. You know, I've had photographers come to me and say, look at this picture, this was just a great moment. You know, he caught the cat just before it hit the ground. And I look at it and the cat was a blur and I don't get the point of it. Well, he was there, I wasn't there. The point of this is wishing won't make it come true. Photography is about light. And you have to work the light. So, for instance, if you know the situation is in this given room here, and you're there early, and you're establishing a rapport with the people, can I turn the lights on? If you're doing a portrait, and you're doing an environmental portrait with a fellow who has all the painting supplies because he just painted the room, and there's a lovely window light coming in over here, go to the light. Be a moth. Go to the light. Because wishing won't make it come true. If it's dark, it's just dark. If you don't get the picture, you don't get the picture, no matter how good the moment was. Camera flash is something we have for, in my field, kind of last resort, because we like it more natural. But sometimes you've got to do it if you want to get the picture. I understand you're using the Nikon Coolpix camera in some situations. Be sure that your record is set to a high quality picture so you can make, so good prints can be made if they want to. Be sure your batteries are good before you go. iPhone cameras are good cameras. You can get good photos with an iPhone camera. You also have to be able to get it onto your computer too. For those of you who shoot video, as you may know, shoot 3 variants of the scene: the wide, the medium, the close. It's the same as video with stills and video are a lot in the same way. Don't shoot everything the same way. Don't shoot everything close. Don't shoot everything wide. Mix it up. Shoot enough that after the fact you can go back and edit. Shoot too many pictures. Don't shoot too few. You can always throw things away, but you can't go back and redo it.